is Jamie, and I'm a self-taught psychic medium, pet intuitive, and intuitive coach. And my purpose in this podcast is to help you feel more connected, at peace, living a life that has you feeling fulfilled in all directions, and to uplift you and bring whatever relevant information that I can, because doing psychic readings on the daily, I encounter a lot of stuff and we're all going through similar situations. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy. Hello. It's been such a long hiatus and I'm happy to be back, and I'm excited to have not just the time, but also the energy to start coming out with more podcast episodes for you guys. And this has been a topic that I've been thinking about a lot recently, and I thought it was super appropriate with a bunch of us going back to school, having our kids going back to school this week. So what I wanted to talk about was a little bit of conscious parenting, and I have a lot to say about this, about parenting, about what we could be doing better, what we could be more conscious of. And actually, a few years ago is when I had listened to a couple of podcast episodes about this, and I want to share what I can remember, because I've learned a lot of things. I've changed not just things about my kid-to-kid interactions, but my life, and so much more calm and understanding now, especially about why people react the way that they do. And usually it doesn't have anything to do with you. I think that being an intuitive and empathic to everyone's emotions and feelings, it's kind of natural for me to put myself in other people's shoes, and kind of a lot of the things when it comes to conscious parenting, I see and I realize that not all of us do the same kind of stuff, but what I want to talk about is, discipline, communication, healing, trauma, and just really understanding our kids on a different level. Because I think when you do that, you understand the world on a different level, and you understand other people on a different level, and realize that a lot of us are just hurt and doing the best that we can with whatever we know. So the first thing that I want to talk about and reflect back is healing, inner child healing. How have you healed from some things? How have some things when you were younger, they're still stuck to you? How are you parenting? How are you going on about your day? How are you reflecting that back to your kids? I think that when it comes to generations and generations, sometimes it's our job in the family to not only break the chains and patterns, but to heal from them and to teach our little ones how to do an even better job of that. Because as traumatizing as it might have been when you were a kid, and your parents, maybe even more when they were a kid, I think no matter what, it's okay, because as amazing, loving parent as you are, or think that you are, your kid might come up with some kind of trauma that happened to them when they were younger, something that you did that maybe we remember, maybe wasn't a big deal, but no matter what, something's going to stick with them. And before we let the months or the years pass by without being, a conscious parent, here are some things that I've learned from my inner child healing, or as an intuitive, or really just being an aunt of 6 nieces and nephews, that I've picked up and learned and realized. And I think anyone who's an aunt, we get that outside perspective. We cringe, we flinch, we rescue when the parents are doing something that we wouldn't do. So when it comes to healing from your childhood, try to think of some phrases that you remember being told, or some things that happened that weren't okay, some emotions that you felt really strongly often, and even some of the things that you swore or hoped you would never do when you were a parent in your life. And of course, thinking, your parents or whoever were doing the best that they could with what they could, blah, blah, blah. Acknowledge that some things weren't okay. Some things could have been handled differently, but they happened. And it's our job to heal from them, to not repeat them. And I think to communicate with our kids and with people differently, something, a few things that I remember strongly growing up was stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. And I've heard my siblings say this several times. A way that a scenario like this could be handled better or differently is to put yourself in the shoes of the person who is upset and then ask them, what's going on? How can you help? What can you do? Maybe not expect some lengthy answer if they don't want to talk about it, but try to use your intuition and go back to when you were younger, if you can remember, how would you feel in this scenario? I think that the temper tantrums and being upset about the cereal or whatever, it might seem like a minuscule problem, but our kids are living so much in the present. They're not thinking about tomorrow, they're thinking about now. Now they're feeling hurt or misunderstood or not heard at this time. And that's upsetting. That's just as upsetting as the big stresses that we have in our life. So try not to dismiss your kids with their feelings and with their emotions. They're still trying to make sense of life and the world, and it's scary and it's confusing. As far as putting yourself in the shoes of your kids, also think about how freaking empathic they must be. I don't know if you guys have heard this or agree with this, but it sure seems that the generation of kids now, they're intuitive. They feel more. Things affect them more. I have a lot to say about that and why that is. I think it's a lot of along the lines of starseed and coming to Earth to really, with a second wave, help the adults learn and grow and understand and change their ways. But instead of being sensitive towards them, also remember how sensitive they are towards a lot of stuff. All of a sudden, after being home all summer, going to a classroom and feeling everyone else's energies, everyone else's stresses, and the chaos from the teachers, that's a lot. So as we're communicating and learning how to communicate better with our kids, try to teach them ways to cope or deal with their own emotions, their frustrations, instead of having tantrums, instead of having conflicts. I think a great way to, I don't know, start this, what I do with my niece, is when she's upset about something, I reflect back to her of, I'm sorry that you're feeling this way. I'm sorry that made you sad or upset. And giving her something else to think about of, is there anything I can do or will this make you feel better? I think that instead of being, sometimes colder with our kids or just closing the door for helping them understand, not having that conversation, because I said so, or no, if your kid is upset about something, try to help them see this scenario in a different way. For example, if they don't want to take a nap and they're upset about taking a nap, maybe try, I understand that you're upset about taking a nap, but when you fall asleep and you open your eyes, we're going to go do this. Or if they're wanting candy and, instead of saying no and them getting upset, something along the lines of, you can't have these M&Ms right now, but remember that we have, whatever, this chocolate stuff at home. I think that communication is important for all people, for all adults. I want to share a funny story. Maybe it's relevant, or maybe I just want to share it because it happened recently, where someone, an adult, was acting like a child. And instead of me taking it personal, their little tantrum, I thought, this is just a miscommunication and it has nothing to do with me. I don't need to take it personal. Don't need to put myself in their shoes, but I need to understand that this is just how they were taught to handle situations and react a certain way. So in my spare time, or really all my time now, I clean Airbnbs. I clean beach houses, and I think that it's fun and therapeutic. And recently, when I showed up at one of the properties, the owner was there and she answered the door and she said, what the F are you doing here? You were supposed to be here yesterday. And she was so mad. She basically slammed the door in my face. And I, handled that situation of doing all the things I had to do of talk to the person that told me I need to be there. And when the door was closed and I was having my conversation, she was screaming, she was yelling, she was cussing, she was banging stuff. You would have thought that she was on her side, laying on the floor, doing the thing the kids do in the cereal aisle. But I think if her parents had taught her how to handle or deal with her emotions in a different way, maybe, I don't know, maybe she could have an easier, carefree, less stress life. But for the sake of you guys having an easier life and for your kids and the people that you interact with having an easier life, just kind of remember that communication is so important. A lot of things it's miscommunication or it's no communication at all. So also with that, be intuitive with your children if they want to talk about something or if they don't want to talk about something, if they want to be quiet and process the day or what have you. Just try to do your best in helping them express their feelings in a really healthy way. And I think whatever you decide to do, it's important for us to, however we get there, remember that feelings are just visitors. They come and go. And when we hold on to them is when we teach ourselves how to hold on to more stuff in our body. And that's not good for anybody. The stresses of the day, I say this a lot in readings, your advice is to wake up every day and push the reset button of yesterday is irrelevant and tomorrow we don't know what's going to happen. So try not to hold on to these emotions and these feelings and these stresses. And like our kids, live more in the present, but don't hold on to all of your emotions. Let them go. So that's all for now. I just wanted to pop in and drop some things for you to get thinking about. And I hope to come out with some more episodes soon. Today is Monday and I do live readings in my Patreon group every Monday. Would love to have you there. And we talk for half an hour over Zoom, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Also in my Patreon group, there's all of my exclusive videos that aren't, shared to everybody, shared to the public. And you can also ask me 3 questions every month. Right now for my private readings, I have a PayPal. My checkout process is pay for half of the reading now and pay for the other half anytime before your reading. And yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. Reach out anytime and I appreciate you.